Welcome to today's episode of Molecules to Medicine podcast. For those of you just joining the podcast, we are AI Jules and we specialize in helping healthcare and life science companies scale their business and revenue and explore how AI is reshaping the industry and accelerating innovation. So, if you'd like to learn more about how to take your healthcare or life science business to the next level, make sure you stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in our DMs and we'll get back to you. I am your host, Hardeep, and we have a very exciting guest for you today. We have Patrick Hogan, the founder and CEO from Prescient Healthcare. Welcome, Patrick.
Oh, hi, Deep. Thank you so much for having me on your program.
No problem. Welcome. And where are you talking to us from today?
Sure. I'm in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's jump straight into it, Patrick. So tell us a bit about your background and the journey that led you to Prescient Healthcare and any pivotal moment or experiences that shaped your career.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yes. Well, I have about 30 years in the healthcare space. I have a doctorate in health administration and have been executives at organizations like Ceridian, Express Scripts, WebMD, Cellbridge Science. And it's been very exciting to be part of this transformation that's happened in the healthcare environment. The world has become a different place with data and now artificial intelligence, and the possibilities that it delivers to the community and the world is just phenomenal. So I've always run analytic teams across those organizations, being head of product and head of analytics for these large Fortune 200 companies. And the idea of being engaged in my own entity, which Prescient Health is about delivering value and health improvement to all organizations around the world, is very exciting, utilizing AI. And our solution, for example, is a chief medical officer AI platform that allows people to have a doctor at their beck and call just through the AI. So it's a phenomenal time to be engaged in the space, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Fantastic. So tell me a bit about Prescient Healthcare. What do you do and who do you do it for?
Sure. So Prescient Healthcare is designed to deliver value to organizations that have managed benefits or manage the health of their either employees or their community. We have kind of states and also federal governments and also regular employers. And the value for us is we deliver both information, knowledge, and guidance for these organizations so they can more effectively manage the health of their organizations. Everybody is aware that, a small percentage of the population drive a lot of the, 80% of the healthcare expense, but not that many people recognize there's a tremendous value for creating healthy programs for your highest potential employees. The opportunity to deliver to your top 10 has an exponential rate of return for it. And I've noticed in my career when I was a head of product and marketing for WebMD, we had customers like Johnson & Johnson, Novartis, and a lot of pharma companies who recognized the importance of ensuring that their top researchers were in great shape and that they also had the investment in those environments so that they could ensure they were delivering at high performance levels consistently. And that's one of the things that Prescient Healthcare focuses on. Is one, how do you save money and, of course, improve the health of your employees, but also how do you maximize your top employees to get even more benefit from their performance.
Okay, fantastic. And it's all technology based and AI driven?
That's correct. We provide an AI platform and we deliver insights both to the individual and the organization. The individual can actually have AI engaged to identify their health, identify opportunities to improve their health, and then a pathway going forward to be the healthiest they can be. At the same time, that information is moved up to the organization so that they can understand what are the action steps that we can take that can make our staff as productive as possible. Some of the best CEOs that we deal with are really focused on high performance. We have one CEO who actually is a world marathoner, and they travel the world going to Istanbul, Tokyo, running in their marathons. But he is so focused on how do I deliver both returns to my investors, but also make my people the ultimate that they can be: healthier, happier, and more focused and aligned. And I think that vision is really synergizes with our efforts of trying to make sure that we're delivering the most uh, optimized solution to our clients.
Okay, great. So it's more in line with for employers to be able to keep their workforce as healthy as possible.
True. And well, also for lots of organizations, healthcare is their second largest expense after their staff. And so, therefore, lots what we find in many of our customers is there's a great deal of waste involved in the process, whether that's inappropriate clinical care, whether that's places where that they're just spending more money than they have to with the same clinical outcome. And we try to drive to a great deal of savings for in America. Most 60% of the market is what's called self-insured. That means that these companies are paying the costs of all of their employees' health expenses. And that means that if they spend an extra few $1 million on care that's not impactful, that impacts their bottom line. We are driving at cutting that out. For some clients, we've been able to cut 10 to 15% of their healthcare spend, and that amount could be as high as $10 million a year in reductions that fall to the bottom line. But also, most importantly, we recognize that the value isn't just reducing the spend, it's making your people healthier so they don't need the medical care. That's truly the differential.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. So, and can you share any real examples of any customers that have used Prescient Healthcare to achieve meaningful results?
Sure. So, as an example, one of our clients, we're actually a data analytics platform, clearly with the AI, and we ingested their claims information and identified that this institution was spending somewhere around $6.7 million a year on hospital visits, ER, emergency room. And what that meant, though, was when we dug into the claims, over 60% of those claims were unnecessary treatment. The individuals were looking for a place to go. They didn't recognize that the cost differentiator or the differential between going to an urgent care, which is around $90 a visit, versus going to an emergency room, which is 3,000 plus, is really significant. So sometimes Americans in particular, they consume healthcare, but they're not consumers of healthcare. And so when we explained to the organization that we could introduce kind of a telehealth program that could triage the process, and they're well on their way to saving close to $4 million a year on uh, care that they don't have to provide. The year prior, they were spending somewhere around $6.7 million. Now they're on path to only spend about $2.5 million. And that $4 million savings falls right to their bottom line. So it could be totally transformative. If you think about it, what would it take for a lot of organizations to find a customer that delivered a profitability of $4 million a year? And that cost or that opportunity lies within their own analytics and their ability at their expenses. So we're very excited about that. Another great example is we say it's smaller companies, $100 to $300,000 just in their care programs, and the CEOs are hiring salespeople with that found money, and they're actually gaining a benefit of $1 million to $2 million of revenue based upon the savings that allowed them to hire an additional salesperson. And so we do look at ourselves as totally transformative to the business. We're making the people healthier, but we're also freeing up cash that can be used to make the business more profitable and make it sustain itself much longer.
And what's the biggest driver with that mismanagement of patient care where they are going to ERs instead of urgent care?
Well, yeah, again, a lot of organizations feel very uncomfortable about kind of getting too engaged in their employees' health. But the reality is, we communicate consistently the difference between spend. Right. The idea is that at the same clinical efficacy, there's always a value to go to the less expensive provider. And so many times we will give insight to what the providers cost in the area, and that allows them to make a decision. It's quite common in the USA for people to go in for minor procedures and knee replacement, different activities like that. But the price differential could be somewhere between $50,000 to $75,000 based upon where the individual gets it. And so by directing the care at lower costs but higher, in essence, same value, efficacy institutions, we're able to save the company money, and they're able to provide the same care, but also put those savings to their bottom line.
Very good. And what makes Prescient Healthcare different from others trying to solve the same problem?
Well, the reality is, with our my 30 years experience and our data vision is we're actually able to do predictive analysis of the populations. We're driving at predictive analytics to assist organizations to avoid the health expense. I mean, the reality of my career has been you watch individuals as they go older to actually deteriorate in health. And there is really, an opportunity to kind of circumvent that. There's the opportunity to make people healthier. There's the opportunity that you can have the same level of health that you had in your 30s, in your 50s and 60s. And the reality is sometimes it just needs a little guidance, assistance, and also the opportunity to uh, be proactive in your knowledge of the piece. And so that's what we're driving to. If we can save someone from, kind of a stroke, if we can save individuals from uh, developing, cancer, we will do everything in our power to be proactive in that piece. That both helps the individual, because as we both know, it's a lot easier to address condition states when they're early than when they're late. And so that means the most proactive care wins. And that's what Prescient Healthcare is about. Being able to envision the future state and driving to help both employers and the employee maximize their health.
And how do you identify and deliver that to these employees in order
Well,
to
most
improve their future?
Yeah, most organizations are aware that they struggle on the healthcare. That, and again, and focusing on the U.S., the cost explosion just continues to rise. The increases both in terms of usage, the increase in kind of expenses relating to price increases for both clinical care and pharmacy, the development of specialty drugs, the GLPs. All of these drive enormous changes in the expense structure for organizations. It's not uncommon in the US for organizations to receive a 15 or 16% annual year over year increase for healthcare benefits. Why that's so critical is if your healthcare benefits is your second largest expense, that really undermines your ability to manage effectively your business. We have manufacturing clients who are, at very tight margins. Their margins may be 3 to 5% when their expenses are rising at 15 or 16%. That puts them at a very, very difficult position to still provide the same level of care to their employees and also still be able to make a profit for themselves and for their shareholders. So that balance is so critically important. And I think as we
Mhm.
talked a little bit about the idea too of when you have impact to your highest performing individuals, your the organization suffers dramatically. We find that organizations rely on their top 10 percentage of employees to drive significant value. If anything happens to any of those, organizations receive a tremendous impact, both on the bottom line and for their costs.
Okay, great. And where do you see the biggest opportunities for innovation or impact within employee health management? And looking ahead, what excites you most about the future?
Yeah, well, I think clearly the opportunity as AI continues to expand is this opportunity to have the guidance and the insight. It's not uncommon for individuals sometimes to avoid healthcare. It's not uncommon for people to sometimes start developing habits that aren't beneficial for them. The opportunity that AI as it proliferates, the opportunity to have that insight and guidance at your fingertips, and the reality of having organizations who are able to actually analyze their data and astutely manage their population so to their best effect, it's very exciting. We all have people in our lives who we've lost due to one condition state or another, and the reality is, many of us lament, oh, I wish we could have caught that earlier. I wish we had been proactive about that issue. That's one of the things that we strive to do, right? Giving information, giving that guidance. Our drive is both to enhance the organization's ability to compete, but also dramatically enhance the individual's life expectancy and the health of their life. We both know that as great as it is to have a long life, what really is impactful is having a robust and capable existence where you're able to deliver and do all the things that you want to do, travel, see the world, and all of that. A lot of those times are results of actions that we take in our 30s and 40s and 50s in terms of how we're investing in the future. Pharma is doing an amazing job at eradicating or identifying ways to use pharmacology to address disease states and conditions, but people also have to take responsibility to partner with that to be effective in that piece. So it's a it's an amazing future that we have in front of us.
Yeah. So it's for individuals to take ownership of their life and to improve their quality of life.
100%.
And
But no, please go on.
carry on.
Oh no, no. I just one of the things that's so fantastic about the work that you do is introducing these organizations to that opportunity. The capacity of pharma using AI, of identifying the right individuals to do on a drug trial, the opportunities to recognize the comorbidities that affect conditions. A lot of that is also helped by AI, right? And so one of the things that we focus on is how do we make people's lives more effective. And I know a lot of your challenge and your time is spent on how do you make some of these organizations more competitive so that they leverage the tools that are available to them and are taking advantage of this new age that we find ourselves.
Indeed, indeed. And what stage is Prescient Healthcare at right now? And what does growth look like for you over the next 12 months or next 2 to 3 years?
No, Prescient is kind of something that I've always wanted to build, and so we actually just started the organization last year, and so we've been accelerating. We've less than a year in, and we're closing on $1 million in revenue. From our side, we have the potential of being as large as anyone can imagine in terms of delivering value. There's an enormous need for our services, and it's also a global need. We're focusing on both, of course, employer health, but we also drive that rural health, which is a challenge within North America of care isolation and islands of care where there's places where there aren't a lot of options. We're driving to deliver better care in those environments. We're working at Native American care. The idea of many what's called reservations in the United States don't have the right clinical efficacy or care process, and we're delivering to that piece. And we're also working with the US government and states to deliver more value so that they have money to spend on things other than healthcare, right? If you can actually save $5 or $6 billion for an organization, they can a commercial organization can use that to grow. A federal institution can use that money to apply to either tax relief or fixing up the infrastructure. So for our side, we are looking forward to both growing in the United States and then also growing internationally. One of the things that you've done very well in your career has been a global executive, and you recognize that healthcare is a global problem. And so for our side, as
Mm,
much as we are North American centric, we are quickly looking to expand our capabilities. And our hope is, potentially to do an IPO in a couple of years and truly become a player in the global market where we're actually, rather than being part of the problem, we're part of the solution.
sure. And where do you see the biggest opportunity out of those few um, industries you mentioned there? What's the biggest opportunity there in order to scaling?
For us, a lot of the early movers are individuals who are focused on making their organizations healthier. One of the strange dichotomies of the situation is the individuals who sometimes are at most risk are the least likely to change. And so there's a tremendous ROI of affecting those individuals in your organization who are anxious and willing to make changes and kind of create better ways for health. So for us, we're really focusing on how do we deliver both care to those organizations who are needful of it in the manufacturing space and in those organizations that have lower margins so we can assist them to be more successful and exist. But we're also looking at high performing industries like pharma, where the ability to ensure that your top performers are at their best really is impactful to your future state. And so
Uh,
for us, we look at it as kind of that opportunity both to drive at kind of those organizations that we want to deliver cost savings and benefits to them so that they can sustain themselves future. But the future where we see the biggest growth is going to be on the optimization of the existing workforce. How do we interact with CEOs, and CFOs to ensure that they're getting maximum performance out of their researchers and their, you know, product owners out of their process? And so that's a little bit of our piece. And it's really fantastic to be part of this transformation, right? AI represents a perturbation, a moment of change for the world because you can now have all the insight that you could ever ask for right in front of you. As an example, a year or so ago, I had been diagnosed with cancer. And now I've got 30 years of experience in the healthcare space. And I still found the AI incredibly beneficial to review different care protocols, different decision points. It was so advantageous to cut through all of the information that was available to me to make the right decision about my health and to deal with the condition state. And that's what AI represents. It represents an opportunity that you can make the best decisions and the best choices for yourself. So it's, again, great to be part of this world.
Yeah, and do you find people that are using AI for personal solutions like you did there, are they more open to it rather than businesses and companies that may be new to it and unsure of it still?
Yeah, you know what? We are finding that there is a maturity gap in terms of individuals and also organizations. We do work with the NIH and work on different aspects of kind of high performing health, and it's incredible the way some scientists and researchers are using this. We had a discussion in Germany about individuals who would actually utilize the AI to plan and prepare presentations for the day to assist them on research, while at the same time that the AI was processing these research papers and doing that piece, the individuals were going on a hike. And so, I mean, to me, that is the perfect connection of utilizing data intelligence, utilizing tools to make your life a better place. And so I would love to see that happening in more fruition where people are taking advantage of their infrastructure. And as we both know, AI can totally transform a task from a 5 hour task to a 5 minute task. In my analytic experience, I've run actuarial teams where you'd have hundreds of members processing information. Now, that same analytic output can actually be accomplished by one or two resources and partnering with the artificial intelligence and data models, LLMs, and processes like that. And it's just where we drive to in the future is really open to our own imagination.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And you and I we're working towards the same goal here. So let's see what the future brings. Well, thank you very much, Patrick. And where can people learn more about Prescient Health or get in touch with you and your team?
Sure. So there's information at Prescient Healthcare AI, and our www.prescienthealthcare.ai is available with all types of information. I also have a book out on AMR, and it's again, we have a lot of opportunities ahead of us, but we also have a lot of challenges, and so it's exciting to be part of this. I'm very pleased that individuals like yourself are driving kind of the sophistication lane of AI, and the impact that that will deliver to small organizations and large organizations is tremendous. The opportunity to innovate, the work that you're doing, is really going to transform the future. And that kind of is an exciting. So thank you for both your time and also the work you do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Patrick. Yes, definitely a watch this space moment for AI. So looking forward to seeing what happens. So thank you for joining, Patrick. All the best, and I'll keep an eye out for Prescient Health.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good day. Cheers.